be on. Hello. Happy Tuesday. Looking for my... There they are. My eyes are dry. Happy Tuesday. Going to work on the Cassandra Cosplays inspired gender swap Beetlejuice. I honestly haven't touched it since last week, so and this will be a short one because I've got another project that needs my attention, but I did want to do some extra work, and so basically we did these keyframes. They're really rough, trying to get the action in there, and so let me set up my communication. So next is to kind of get some more of those keyframes in there. And hey Chris, how you doing? So we'll just jump into it. I've added one already. So this is like, and there are there's dialogue, and I have reference up as well. It's on the other screen. Just kind of picking some more of those major keyframes. So that's kind of the beginning, and then I'll scrub over. Okay, she says okay. That's ready, and then okay. I'll just copy the layer. And these aren't timed yet at all. It's just getting the rough keyframe. Oh, this layer below it. So if anyone's wondering, I'm putting up questions every time. So I was wondering, in light of COVID, what plans people have for Halloween. We don't really have any. We usually do Salem every year, but we haven't even talked about it. Whether it's worth it, safe, blah blah blah. What's even open, but yeah. Beyond that, we're just gonna decorate the house and go trick-or-treating. So again, real rough. I'm not trying to get the proportions perfect, just kind of in there. Another thing I did was, I have these model sheets, but you also, when you're constructing it, so I'll start earlier. Doing it rough like this means I can make rough drawings and kind of get the life and the energy and not worry too much. Hey Ash, glad you can make it. So I can be real rough and just kind of get the energy and the gesture and not worry too much about proportions and detail. So just getting that the rough poses, the key poses in there is what comes first. And so if we just went with this, right? See how she kind of gets bigger, like her face gets different, and then she gets smaller. This is bigger. You want to make sure you have solid drawings. It's one of the principles of animation, and that means you look at like Milt Kahl, and I mean, just as recently as that film Klaus, just the volume, they keep the volume very, very well. And so doing everything rough like this, then the next step would be to clean it up so that those proportions match these perfectly all the way through. And usually you do like a 10-point turn on. I just have a 1, 2, 3, but then you have a 1, 2, 3, and then on the other side 4, then another profile 5 because their hair is different. And then you turn it around, a 3/4 view, 2 in the back, and then straight on back. So right there, that's 9. And then you do one in between that. So that's another 8. So you can do a lot of drawings, and this is just to figure out. That's not even to say. Oh, that's a bummer. Thank you very much for hustling to join in. That's super cool. Really, really, really appreciate it. So making sure the volume is what you want, and doing these really rough, energetic drawings. So you capture that energy, and then you kind of make it fit the character model. So keep going with this one. I don't think I have the face right. And if the music is too loud, let me know. I can't hear it because I have it pumping through the computer. I've got kind of this Frankenstein setup with, I'm on a Mac, using OBS for Instagram. It's kind of like a Twitch setup, but it's easier with a PC. And so Mac, you have to kind of do a weird... Okay, should I turn it up a little? Turn up very slightly. So I just made her head huge. And so I still want to be slightly aware of the volume. When I say volume, I mean not loudness, we were just talking about that, but the physical area that a shape takes up. You want it to be, if a head is like a circle, you want it to maintain that circle all the way around. But if it starts squishing, it's not keeping the volume. And I struggle with that big time. You can look at some of my other animations and see that. It's really, really hard. And I just get really excited. I more want the motion than anything, which is important, but you can't ditch the volume, because then it starts kind of, what's the term? Floating. No, I'm very tired. I can't, the term is escaping me right now, but it just looks like it's not the same. Like this circle ends up being kind of an egg at the end. And it should stay a circle, if it's a circle. If it's a sphere, so again, this is where you go crazy. So I was just kind of doing subtle eyebrows. No, not here. So it's the ready, okay, and that's the high. Ready, O. Yeah, so now we'll do the O. So we'll just duplicate this layer. Then I'll move this one over. No, not this one. So if you, that's part of what happens if you use a layer, the layer right next to it or the frame right next to it. It's gonna start melting over time. So I still want her feet planted. And then here's like the gesture. So she like raises her shoulders. Her hips will kind of come in. You might get up on her toes a little. So if I were to do the whole thing, I think the whole thing's about 15 seconds. That's 4 more seconds than a month-long competition. They're things that I haven't done them in a while, but I used to regularly. It's called the 11-second club. So it depends on what kind of animation. If you're doing traditional 2D animation like we're doing now, we're not doing puppet, flash type thing where you, like, I build the face, or it would be more like it's what you see on like Archer and Bob's Burgers and pretty much every modern cartoon right now, Family Guy. So you build the face and then you build like a torso or even a piece of a torso, and then the hips, and then all this is separate. And so in another program called Animate, it used to be called Flash, you set like where the pivots are, and that's where it rotates. So the shoulder right here, there's a pivot, you set that and rotate it. Set that and rotate it. And then you have one eye, and then closed eyes, and then really excited eyes, and you'd swap these out per frame. And so that kind of computer animation, you aren't stuck at 24 frames a second. That's what I'm doing. You can do 30 or even 60, and the computer will interpolate. So when you're doing 3D animation, it's the same thing. You'll set keyframes, and then the computer will do, like you say, this keyframe and this keyframe, and the computer will interpolate through it. So at 24 frames a second, 11, I mean, whatever the math is, 16. 16 times 4 times. So 384 seconds, or frames of animation if we did 24. But they're usually on 12s, on 2s, which is 12 frames a second. I think I've already talked about this, but I'll talk about it again. Into the Spider-Verse was intentionally done on 2s, where that's 12 frames a second, to give it more of an illustrated graphic comic book feel. And in spots of extreme action, they would speed it up to sorry. That's cool. How is it? How long have you done it, Chris? How many days or hours are you into it? Is it like rigged? I'm assuming After Effects. There we go. Had to get my reference back. Ready? Okay. I need to do okay, because that's the high. So delete this. No, still want the other one. So this will be kind of that little bit in the beginning. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really cool. Or Cassandra's cosplay. And she has a few, I think. But this one, the TikTok she did, was really cool. Oh, cool. This was in After Effects? Oh, motion. Wait. Animate. Oh, okay. I mean, it's Flash, but it's got a different name. That's good. I'll look into that. Yeah, they can do a lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff. I know that you can use bones, and can you do, I'm guessing if you did like a fluid scarf, that maybe you did like bones and influence, like weights to it. That's cool. I've been doing a lot of Anima 2D. No, I've been doing a lot of spine, which is kind of Flash Flash for games, but more like character animating. Yeah, I mean, I've done some raid characters in After Effects, but I'm more like doing animate for frame by frame. Like, I'll actually move this to animate once I get these in. So like this video timeline, I can export that out as a video and nest that into the Flash timeline or animate timeline, and then use that as my kind of key pose reference. And I thought about it, doing this as a puppet rig in Animator or Spine or something. But no, I'm gonna keep with the traditional 2D frame by frame. I like it. And I want to get better at it, so I'm not gonna get better at it by not doing it. Ready? Okay. To just wind up, it's really good. Which one? I think I want to change this because the pose. Okay. Yeah. So her pose, like her shoulders are this way, or this way, but actually in this one, she switches her weight. Yeah, we're gonna jettison this. You may have her switch What's her name? Feet. Hey, Manny. Uncle Manny. Glad you're here. Doing some animation of a cosplayer. Her name is Cassandra Cosplays. She did a Beetlejuice. I'm gonna attempt to animate it. She did a TikTok video. It's pretty cool. Okay, so now we need an in-between here. Not an in-between, kind of a breakdown. Her changing her feet. Like the blue. Okay, so I want, yeah. It does a little wind up anticipation. Yeah. I'll drop the opacity of these two layers. Okay. So that's where we'll have her shift her weight too. So look up Cassandra Cosplays on Instagram, and if when you find it, you can look at all her videos, and she has TikToks, and on there you'll find this one. You've seen, she does a few, but that one's super good. I mean, I'm sure you can find it on TikTok too, but I don't use it. I don't know what her handle is or anything, but she reposts it to Instagram. Yeah, Beetlejuice. Okay, now we'll do the guide thing. B-U-D-Y-D-E. I don't really need to like fully in between these. I really just want to get it to where the portions are right. Because if I start getting too much into the proportion, then that's what starts getting muddy, and I don't want it muddy. I want it energetic. So I'm making up the lower half because who knows. But I can tell roughly how her weight has shifted, so I can fill in the blanks there. Thank you, brother. Okay. GUID to the other side. We'll duplicate this layer. I said this wouldn't be a long one, but I want to get this in a better spot. So that doesn't help us. Let me reference other layer too. Yeah. I know it's a mess, but I want to make sure that somewhere in the ballpark of the proportions. And change that to red. That'll help distinguish the frames. Okay, and then I'll make this one I'm working in black. Okay. Roughly the head. Feet. Hips. Okay. So let me scrub through here. Now let me just trying to get these rough key poses in for this animation of a gender swap Beetlejuice from Cassandra Cosplays. Check out her TikTok video. Well, I think it's in her reels. Anyway, whatever it is, you can look her up and find it. It's in one of the Beetlejuices. Anyway, it's really good. So animating it right now, I am taking this character model that kind of fleshed out the character and kind of how it, like the different pieces, and then now animating it. And right now, just getting the really rough key poses from her video. Here we go. I need to fix these legs because I changed it because she shifted her weight. Okay. So during this phase, it's just real loose. Huh, I may have that wrong. Let's see. Okay, she doesn't totally shift her weight. I have her shifting her weight, but I can adapt that. Yeah, no big deal. Doesn't shift her weight, doesn't change anything. Changes, this kind of rotates a little forward, but we can get away with it right now. Okay. So I'll drop these two back. Yeah, delete this one. Okay. Almost. So again, I'm really trying to get big, rough, energetic poses. So if it's not explosive, then I gotta jettison it. So I've got a little more than 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna call it here and just time it out a little bit. So how many frames do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12. Perfect. Eight frames, so we can do 8 frames per. Look at that, it's already divided by 8. Crazy. If I did my math in my head right. So this is not timed to the music. This is, again, just getting the really rough poses down and feeling right. You know, it's nice and sloppy. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time cleaning something up that isn't solid. And once it really feels right, then you can work on tightening up the proportions and making the lines real nice and neat. Because if it's real messy, it's hard to know what you're in betweening. Yeah. I'm going to put everything back. Fill everything with black, so it's not like rainbow lights. So again, this isn't timed. This is just the big major poses. Did I delete something? Did. Weird. Okay. So these are just like the major poses of the animation. But once these are cleaned up, and all the proportions are right, and then after that, cleaning up all the lines, then you can start doing the frames that go in between these major ones. And those are they're more actual keyframes where, you know, this pose to this pose. These are like I said, these are the major ones. So after that, you do some breakdowns in anticipation. So before she goes from here to here, her hand comes out this little more, then goes over here, and then kind of drifts back. So getting those, and then after that, you just start in betweening and figuring out what you're favoring. Is her hand favoring this pose or this pose? So you'll spend more frames over here if it's over here. Blah blah blah. Anyway, that's all I've got tonight. Again, these are a lot of fun, and I'm very appreciative for you guys coming and hanging out with me. And yeah, so we will see you again next Tuesday. And be careful. Take care. Bye-bye.